I'll never understand why Captain Picard didn't save his family in Star Trek. Generations. Star Trek has always been a universe about choices, about morality, duty, and the consequences of action or inaction. From the earliest days of the original series, where Captain Kirk wrestled with the morality of life and death across the stars, to the next generation, where Jean-Luc Picard epitomized the embodiment of reason, logic, and restraint. Star Trek consistently challenges us to consider what we would do in impossible circumstances. Yet, when it comes to Star Trek, Generations, the 1994 film that bridges the original series and the next generation, I find myself eternally baffled by one enduring mystery. Why didn't Captain Picard save his family? Let's set the scene. Generations opens with the promise of a story about legacy, about time, and about the lives we touch as we journey through the universe. But the narrative quickly turns into a heart-wrenching personal tragedy. Picard learns, almost immediately, that the Nexus, the mysterious energy ribbon capable of fulfilling one's deepest desires, holds the key not only to his survival, but also to a form of transcendence that could, in theory, reunite him with everything he has ever loved. Yet, before any philosophical reflection can take hold, the audience is confronted with a cruel reality. Picard's family, his relatives, the people who raised him and shaped him, are gone. The movie hints at his family's deaths in a way that feels both cursory and inexplicably distant. And here lies the problem. For a captain renowned for his empathy, courage, and commitment to justice, the lack of narrative closure regarding his family's fate is deeply puzzling. Consider the Star Trek moral universe. Picard is a man who has risked his life countless times for the lives of strangers, whether negotiating peace treaties with Klingons or rescuing colonists stranded in hostile regions of space. He is methodical, but fiercely moral, often placing principle above personal desire. In the next generation, episodes like Family and The Inner Light showcase Picard's capacity for deep, personal loyalty. In Family, he confronts his brother Robert over old grievances, revealing layers of love, hurt, and familial responsibility. In The Inner Light, he lives an entire lifetime as a man named Cameron, raising children and experiencing generational love, only to awaken with that experience seared into his soul. These stories establish Picard as a man who profoundly values family, even beyond the bounds of logic and duty. So why then, in Generations, is his family treated as if they are secondary to the plot? Why are they casualties of time, never saved, never even confronted in a meaningful emotional arc? One argument fans have posited is that the Nexus itself, an abstract, almost magical construct, is a narrative device intended to elevate the stakes. By showing Picard that a universe exists where all desires can be fulfilled, the film positions the Nexus as the ultimate moral test. But here's the rub. If Picard had any agency over time or reality within the Nexus, why not save his family? Even if they are deceased, the Nexus is described as a realm where time has no meaning, where all that you desire can be experienced as though it were real. The film, in its rush to merge Picard with Kirk for the climactic confrontation with Sauron, sidesteps what is arguably Picard's most personal and profound conflict, the opportunity to undo the most tragic and formative losses in his life. It's as if the writers wanted to explore mortality and heroism, but didn't trust the audience with Picard acting selfishly for his loved ones. A strange hesitation, given that Star Trek often celebrates the complexity of moral choices. Some fans might argue that Picard's inaction is consistent with his character. He is, after all, a man who respects the natural order, who understands that death and loss are part of life's tapestry. He might have seen attempting to rescue his family as an interference with the universe's equilibrium, much like he restrains himself from interfering in other civilizations' development per the Prime Directive. But here, the comparison falters. The Prime Directive concerns societies, civilizations, and collective morality. Picard's family are not entire species or planets. They are human beings he personally loves. Even the strictest interpretation of Starfleet ethics seems insufficient to justify ignoring such an intimate and emotionally significant duty. Another lens through which to examine this conundrum is the film's treatment of generational legacy. Generations is not just a story about one man. It's about the handoff between generations. Captain Kirk represents the old guard, the bold, impulsive, sometimes reckless heroism of Starfleet's formative years. Picard represents a new kind of leadership, thoughtful, deliberate, and ethically stringent. Perhaps the film is suggesting that Picard's strength lies in his restraint, that true heroism is prioritizing the greater good over personal attachment. But even that reading leaves a bitter aftertaste. Surely, Heroism in Star Trek has always been about balancing duty with humanity, not choosing one at the expense of the other. We have seen countless examples of captains who bend rules, risk their careers, and defy cosmic odds to save individuals or families. So why is Picard, the moral center of TNG, the one who stands aside while his own kin vanish into history? It's also worth considering the emotional resonance of this omission. Star Trek has always excelled at moments of quiet, devastating loss. Think of Worf losing his brother in The Next Generation, or Sisko watching his mentor die in Deep Space Nine. These moments linger because they are personal, raw, and immediate. Picard's family's deaths, by contrast, are almost incidental, a plot device that exists primarily to explain his emotional depth without demanding him to confront that loss on screen. The result is that we, as the audience, are denied one of the most profound experiences Star Trek can offer. Watching a character wrestle with personal grief while upholding his moral and ethical code. We are told that Picard's family is gone, but we are never shown how he grapples with it, never shown how a man capable of empathy, courage, and unwavering principle faces the ultimate personal failure. This narrative choice is mystifying and, frankly, disappointing. There's also a structural reason why Picard's inaction might have been written into the film. Generations is, at its heart, a bridge movie. Its primary goal is to connect the eras of Kirk and Picard, to provide fans with nostalgia while passing the torch. In service of that agenda, personal tragedies like Picard's family take a backseat to the spectacle of intergenerational heroics. But even so, one can't help but feel that an opportunity was missed. Imagine a scene where Picard confronts the Nexus, where he sees his family, and is forced to choose between lingering in a perfect illusion of familial happiness or returning to reality to confront Sauron. Such a moment could have deepened his character, reinforced Star Trek's enduring exploration of choice and consequence, and provided a truly unforgettable emotional anchor for the film. Some might claim that Picard's family is intentionally left in the shadows to reinforce the loneliness of command. Starfleet captains are often depicted as isolated figures, bearing immense responsibility while their personal lives suffer. The deaths of Picard's family, then, become a narrative shorthand for the sacrifices inherent to leadership. But here, again, the execution falters. Star Trek has never needed tragedy to simply exist. It thrives on showing the humanity behind the tragedy, the decisions and emotions that make characters relatable. By